Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's story begins in a house that looked perfect from the outside. A gated driveway, trimmed hedges, marble steps that gleamed in the sun. Anyone passing by would think happiness lived there permanently. But inside those walls, pain had been quietly breathing for years, especially for one woman who woke up every morning already exhausted by the weight of her own body. Her name was Eleanor. She was the mother of a self-made millionaire named Adrian Hale. Eleanor had once been strong, the kind of woman who could carry grocery bags in one hand and a sleepy child in the other. She had raised Adrian alone after his father passed away, working long shifts, skipping meals, smiling through stress so her son would never feel poor. By the time Adrian became successful, Eleanor's body had paid the price. Chronic pain settled into her joints, her back, her legs. Some days, even breathing felt heavy. Doctors called it a combination of arthritis, nerve damage, and years of untreated strain. Painkillers helped for a while, but they dulled her mind more than her suffering. Physical therapy was suggested, but Eleanor often skipped sessions. She didn't like complaining. She didn't want to be a burden. And after Adrian married and moved her into his large home, she felt even more invisible, like an old piece of furniture that no one quite knew where to place. Adrian, meanwhile, was rarely home. His business required constant travel meetings in different cities, late-night calls, deals that couldn't wait. He believed he was doing all this for family, for security, for love. His wife Vanessa managed the house while he was gone. Two outsiders. Vanessa appeared polished and caring. She had a calm smile, a soft voice, and she always spoke respectfully about Eleanor when guests were around. But pain has a way of noticing what smiles hide. Every morning, Eleanor woke before dawn because lying still hurt too much. She shuffled carefully to the kitchen, holding on to walls. Vanessa usually came down later, heels clicking sharply on the marble floor, always in a hurry. She would greet Eleanor with a brief nod, sometimes a forced good morning, before pouring herself coffee and checking her phone. Eleanor's meals were simple: toast, tea, sometimes leftover soup. Vanessa insisted it was better for her digestion, better for inflammation. Eleanor trusted her. After all, she was Adrian's wife. Why would she doubt her intentions? But slowly, Eleanor noticed changes. Her pain grew worse, not better. Her hands trembled more. Some days, her stomach burned after eating. When she mentioned it gently, Vanessa smiled and said it was just part of aging. You should rest more, she would say. Too much movement makes it worse. So Eleanor rested. And the more she rested, the weaker she became. Adrian called his mother often, but the conversations were short. Eleanor didn't want to worry him. She told him she was fine, that Vanessa was taking good care of her, that everything was comfortable. Adrian believed her. He wanted to believe her. From hotel rooms and airport lounges, it was easier to accept comforting words than imagine something was wrong back home. Then one winter, Adrian's business trip was cut short unexpectedly. A deal fell through, and he booked an earlier flight home without telling anyone. He imagined surprising his wife, maybe taking his mother out to dinner. He missed home more than he realized. When he arrived late in the afternoon, the house felt quieter than usual. No music, no television, just a heavy stillness. He dropped his bag by the door and called out. No answer. As he walked toward the kitchen, he heard a soft sound that made him stop. A muffled cry. It was coming from the small back room that had once been a storage space, now converted into something between a guest room and a utility area. Adrian rarely went there. He opened the door slowly. What he saw made his chest tighten instantly. Eleanor was sitting in an old wooden chair, her back hunched, her hands clenched in her lap. Her face was pale, streaked with tears. In front of her stood Vanessa, holding a small bowl and a spoon. Vanessa turned sharply, startled by Adrian's presence. Her smile appeared too quickly, too practiced. Oh, you're home early, she said. Adrian didn't answer. His eyes were locked on his mother. Mom, he said softly, what's going on? Eleanor tried to smile through her tears. Nothing, dear. I'm just having a bad pain day. Adrian stepped closer and noticed the smell. Something bitter, chemical. He looked at the bowl. Inside was a thick, grayish mixture. What is that? He asked. Vanessa answered quickly. It's a special herbal remedy. Very effective. It helps detox inflammation. Adrian frowned. Why is she crying? Before Vanessa could respond, Eleanor spoke, her voice trembling. It hurts when I take it. My stomach burns. But Vanessa says it has to hurt to work. Adrian felt something snap inside him. He knelt beside his mother, gently touching her arm. She flinched. Her skin felt colder than it should. Too thin, too fragile. How long have you been giving her this? He asked, standing now, his voice low. Vanessa crossed her arms. I'm doing my best here. You're never home. Someone has to take responsibility. Doctors just want to drug her. I'm using natural methods. Adrian's eyes scanned the room. He noticed there was no bed, just a thin mattress against the wall. No heater, despite the cold. A small window barely letting light in. Why is she in here? He asked. Vanessa hesitated for half a second too long. She prefers quiet. She said the main rooms were too noisy. Eleanor looked down. She didn't say anything. That silence spoke louder than any accusation. Adrian took out his phone and called his family doctor immediately. He described Eleanor's condition, the mixture, the symptoms. The doctor's response was sharp and urgent. Stop giving her anything immediately. Bring her in now. Vanessa's face changed. You're overreacting, she said. You always do this. You make me look like the villain. Adrian turned to her, his voice steady but cold. If you were doing nothing wrong, you wouldn't be afraid of a doctor. Within an hour, Eleanor was at the hospital. Tests were run, blood work scans. The results came back worse than Adrian feared. The mixture Eleanor had been consuming contained substances that aggravated nerve pain and caused severe gastric irritation. Prolonged use could have led to internal bleeding. The doctor looked Adrian straight in the eye. This wasn't treatment. This was harm. Adrian sat beside his mother's bed, holding her hand as tears rolled silently down his face. Guilt pressed heavily on his chest. He had been so focused on providing, on succeeding, that he hadn't protected the woman who had given him everything. When Eleanor was stable, Adrian went home alone that night. Vanessa was waiting, arms crossed again, anger flashing in her eyes. You embarrassed me, she said. Doctors always exaggerate. Adrian didn't raise his voice. Pack your things, he said quietly. She laughed in disbelief. You're choosing her over me. He looked at her, truly looked, as if seeing her for the first time. I'm choosing humanity over cruelty. Vanessa left that night. The divorce that followed was swift and painful, but necessary. Details emerged that shocked even Adrian: financial neglect, controlling behavior, subtle isolation. Vanessa had seen Eleanor not as family, but as an inconvenience, a liability. Recovery wasn't quick for Eleanor. Pain that has been ignored doesn't disappear overnight. But this time, she wasn't alone. Adrian adjusted his work schedule. He hired professional caregivers. He attended therapy sessions with her. He apologized again and again, even when Eleanor told him he didn't need to. Slowly, with proper treatment, warmth, nutritious food, and genuine care, Eleanor began to improve. The pain didn't vanish, but it softened. Her eyes regained light. She laughed more. She sat by windows again. One evening, months later, Adrian and Eleanor sat together on the porch, watching the sun dip below the horizon. Eleanor reached for his hand. You came home when I needed you, she said. Adrian swallowed hard. I should have come sooner. Sometimes, the greatest wealth isn't money, but attention. Sometimes, love isn't about grand gestures, but about noticing pain before it becomes a scream. Adrian learned that lesson the hard way, but he never forgot it. And from that day on, no matter how far his business took him, he always made sure that home was a place of safety, not silence, and that the woman who once carried him would never carry her pain alone again.